In 1975, a single £5 note bought a surprising amount. And steady pace, exactly what that fiver could do. It was 1975. The average working man brought home around £45 a week, so £5 wasn't spare change. When your gran pressed one into your hand at Christmas, you felt like the richest kid alive. That fiver could do things in 1975 that you wouldn't believe today. At 73 pence a gallon, £5 bought you roughly 6.5 gallons of petrol. Put that in a Ford Cortina doing 30 miles to the gallon, and you were looking at close to 200 miles. A Sunday trip to the coast and back, no problem. And the part that really stings, you didn't lift a finger. An attendant walked out, filled the tank, checked your oil, and wiped the windscreen while you sat in the driver's seat like royalty. A fiver barely gets you 4 liters now, and you're standing in the rain, pumping it yourself. The same fiver could walk you into Woolworths and out with 2 brand new albums from the charts. An LP cost around £2.50. In 1975, that meant you could pick up Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here and Queen's A Night at the Opera and still have coins left over. Both came out that year. You'd stand at those racks, flicking through sleeves, pull one out to study the artwork, and walk home with 2 records under your arm. You felt like you'd won something. Those same albums on vinyl now cost £35 or more. Before McDonald's had really turned up, Wimpy was the place you went when you were eating out. Nearly 400 branches across Britain, all with table service and proper metal cutlery. You sat down and someone brought your food on a plate. A fiver easily covered 2 of you for a proper meal. 2 Wimpy International plates, a brown derby each for pudding, maybe a couple of Whippy milkshakes, and you'd spend around £2.50. People had birthday parties at Wimpy. First dates happened at Wimpy. You got dressed up to go, and the change from your fiver still covered the bus ride home. If football was more your thing, a fiver stretched even further. Terrace admission was around 70 pence each. A matchday program cost 10 pence, and a pie with a cup of Bovril came to about 25 pence. Add bus fare there and back, and £5 covered 2 lads for an entire Saturday afternoon at the ground. You'd stand packed in on the terraces with scarves tied to the barriers, feet going numb, waiting for that roar when the ball hit the net, and you'd still have enough left for chips on the walk home. A Premier League ticket now starts at 30 to 40 quid, and the pie alone costs more than that whole 1975 match day. If you were a kid in 1975, the thing you wanted most was probably a scale extric. The starter sets cost around £5, 1 fiver, and suddenly you had the best present in the house under the Christmas tree. You set it up on the living room floor, raced the little cars until they flew off every bend, and argued with your brother over who got which controller. If you didn't own one, you knew someone who did, and you were round there every chance you got. For boys, there was Action Man. The basic soldier figure cost about £2.50, and the equipment packs were about £1 each. A fiver bought the figure and 2 full outfit sets, the deep-sea diver suit with rubber gear and helmet, or the commando set with beret and rifle. He had movable eagle eyes, operated by a lever on the back of his head, and that scar on his cheek that made him look battle-scarred. Unwrapping one on Christmas morning was a simple, shared ritual. For girls, the same fiver bought a Cindy doll and a couple of outfit changes. The basic Cindy was about £2.50. Individually carded outfits at Woolworths cost around 75 pence each. You'd stand in that aisle for ages, choosing between the Rain Mac, the Weekender, the tiny flared jeans. Each outfit hung behind clear packaging, and anyone who grew up with Cindy still remembers which ones they picked. The skateboard craze had arrived from California by the mid-70s. A basic board cost about £3.50, leaving change for knee pads most kids never wore. The wheels were clay, the deck solid wood, and the whole thing weighed about as much as a small dog. You pushed off down the pavement, hit the first crack, and were picking gravel out of your elbows within about 30 seconds. Saturday night at home cost even less. Courtney's Party 7 was £1. 7 pints of bitter, a bottle of decent 20 Embassy filter came to 42 pence. A few bags of Golden Wonder crisps at 8 pence each, and the evening was sorted. You'd watch Dad fighting the tin opener onto the top of the party 7 while beer sprayed across the kitchen lino. Mum would settle with a glass of wine and the telly tuned to Match of the Day. Nobody went out because nobody needed to. If you did want to go out, Jaws was in British cinemas in the summer of 1975, and it was the film everyone was talking about. An adult ticket was about 55 pence, with children cheaper, so a family of 4 could get in for around £2. Add ice creams from the usher's tray and the bus fare home, and you were looking at about £3. 50 pence all in. You'd sit in the dark, waiting for the curtains to pull apart. By the time the shark appeared, half the audience was screaming, and the other half was pretending they weren't. The whole family outing for well under a £5. And here's one that sounds impossible now. The 1975 FA Cup final was West Ham against Fulham at Wembley, played on Saturday 3rd May. Standing terrace tickets cost about £1 each. A £5 brought 2 people into the FA Cup final at Wembley, possibly 3. Bobby Moore, who lifted the World Cup for England in 1966, was playing for Fulham that day against the club where he'd become a legend. West Ham won 2-0 in front of 100,000 people. The cheapest seat at a Wembley Cup final now starts around 45 quid. A night out on the town didn't need much either. 4 pints of bitter at 28 pence each came to £1.12. A portion of fish and chips was 35 pence. A taxi back cost a couple of quid. The whole evening came in under £4, and you still had change from a £5. You'd spend the evening leaning on the bar with the jukebox in the corner, then grab your chips on the way home. The taxi alone would cost more than all of that now. A £5 didn't just buy nights out, it sorted Christmas. Harvey's Bristol Cream Sherry cost £1.69. A proper tin of Cadbury Roses, the big one with the lid you had to prise off, was about £1.75. Under 4 quid, and Nan's entire Christmas was wrapped up. The sherry glasses came out of the cabinet on the big day. Someone started an argument over the strawberry cream, and that tin spent the next decade in her kitchen holding biscuits long after the chocolates were gone. If Dad was the one you were buying for, a bottle of Scotch, Bell's, Teacher's or Haig cost about £3.50. A £5 bought the bottle and left change for a bottle of lemonade or ginger ale to mix with it. The drinks cabinet in 1975 was a proper piece of furniture. Glass doors, a little light that came on when you opened it, and a mirror at the back that made 3 bottles look like 6. You only touched it for visitors, for Christmas, or when Dad decided it was that kind of evening. A British Rail day return to the nearest city cost about £1.50, leaving £3.50 from your £5 for the rest of the day. You could buy a cup of tea and a sandwich in a cafe, stroll round the shops, or catch an afternoon film if the timing worked. You handed over your stiff orange ticket at the barrier, found a seat in the carriage, and fetched a paper cup of tea from the buffet car. Never quite hot enough, but part of the ritual. It was your day out, and a £5 covered the whole thing. School dinners were about 15 pence a meal per child in 1975, so £5 bought roughly 30 dinners. Over 3 weeks for 2 children, or more than 6 weeks for 1. Mum handing over the dinner money in a little brown envelope every Monday was something millions of families did without thinking. Children lined up with metal trays, slid them along the counter and ate whatever landed on them. Lumpy mash, grey mince, custard with a skin on top. It was hot, it was filling, and for many it was the best meal of the day. When September came, a £5 covered most of the basics. A pair of school shoes from Woolworths or the market cost about £2.50. Grey trousers or a skirt and a couple of white shirts from the co-op added another £1 or 2. It wasn't glamorous, but it sent a child back through the gates clean and presentable. New shoes unscuffed, Mum telling you to keep them polished. For older kids, a genuine Wrangler or Brutus gold denim jacket from Foster Brothers or a high street chain was about £4.75. The teenager's uniform that year, worn over a t-shirt with high-waisted flares and platforms, collar turned up, and perhaps a badge on the chest. By 1975, a basic portable transistor at around £4. Fiver could shape daily life. It wasn't much to look at, a plastic box with a dial and a tinny speaker, but it was yours. You took it to the park in the summer, held it to your ear on Saturday afternoons for the football results, and kept it under your pillow at night to listen to Radio Luxembourg after the lights went out. That private line to the outside world cost you a fiver. By late 1975, something